I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about the amphitheater in general. We have 10 sea lions that live here. They are all male sea lions. A lot of our sea lions are from our rescue program. So when we have a rescue program, we rescue essentially about 50-50 male and female. So over at Sea Lion Point, a lot of those animals are rescued as well. We have more of a natural setting over there, which is a harem society for sea lions. So a harem society is going to be one male and a lot of females. So in the rescue program, that leaves a few males left over. So those males come here and those males participate in our shows. They participate in our inside looks and sometimes our VIP tours as well, or all kinds of different programs, whether it be Facebook Live or any other media that we might need to do. Our first sea lion that you guys are going to meet today is Ozzy. He is part of our rescue program. He was rescued in the year 2013. He is 6 years old. He weighs about 370 pounds. Currently, he's got a lot of growing to do. By no means is he done. He'll reach between 500 and 600 pounds when he's done growing. So he's going to be a big boy. Now working with Ozzy is going to be Jordan up on stage, and Kylene's going to be down here at the glass working with Ozzy as well. Like I said, the theme for this inside look is play and enrichment. Play and enrichment is extremely important for our animals and for us. It's one of the building blocks of training. If we don't have a good relationship with our animals, we are not going to get anywhere with training. So that is one of the first things we work on. Jordan is one of the newest trainers here at the amphitheater, so she's building her relationship with all 10 of our sea lions currently. So what better way to build a relationship than through something fun? So there's a lot of ways that we can have fun with our animals. Playing with them is just one of the ways. We use a lot of toys, or as we call them, EEDs, or environment enrichment devices. So these are just different items that the animals can manipulate and move around. Sometimes they like to throw them, sometimes they like to swim with them, all kinds of different things. You can see she's got a couple frisbees over there. The red toy behind her, we call that the boxing gloves. As you might guess, there's not exactly a lot of toys that you can just pick up at Petco for your sea lion. So one of my personal favorite things to do is to try and find environmental enrichment devices for our animals. Something that's going to stand up to an animal this size. A couple other items you see in the pool there. That red ball is called a jolly ball, so that's actually a horse enrichment device. Then we also have just a green buoy. So those are found in the ocean. You might even see wild sea lions messing with those. So we do have a couple of those here. But just in your day-to-day life, some of our other EEDs include traffic cones and big barrels that you might find different things in. So we've got lots and lots of enrichment devices, both for our sea lions and our otters. Again, that's one of my favorite challenges as a trainer, is to find something that I think is going to be enriching for the animals. Sometimes, believe it or not, exercise can be enriching as well. These animals are incredibly active. They move around a lot. They are a giant muscle. They're very, very strong and agile animals. So even though we might not find exercise to be the most enriching thing for our lives, it actually is for these sea lions. So you can see Colleen was running around with Ozzy a little bit there. We're throwing frisbees for him, getting that excitement, getting that adrenaline going to do fun activities for our sea lions. And just like anything, they still have to have those manners. So just because this is an enrichment session, or a play session as we call it, we're still always going to ask them to be polite. Just like you might have a nice dinner, but you still can't stand on the dinner table, right? So they are going to be asked to maintain those behaviors. So you'll see that Jordan will reinforce Ozzy when he politely hands her the frisbee at the end of the session. Kylie took the frisbee. She's going to go ahead and bridge him. That says, great job, that's exactly what I was looking for. And then she has the opportunity to reinforce if she would like to do that then. Like I said, the beginning of training is building a relationship. But there's a lot of different things that we do here in training. A good way to remember everything we do is the acronym HELPERS. I'll let you guys just enjoy for a little bit. Again, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask. Go ahead and throw your hand up in the air. I'd be happy to answer those questions. What do they eat? That's a great question. So Ozzy eats a lot of different food. He's got a variety of different fish. Capelin, sardines, herring, squid, and mackerel are the typical fish that we feed Ozzy. He's eating close to 20 pounds of food a day at the particular moment, but that will fluctuate throughout the year. Sea lion's natural history includes a rut season, and during that time, that's going to go significantly down. They can drop to as little as 5 to 10 pounds of food a day. And that again is a normal, natural thing. You'd see any male sea lion doing that during the spring season. Female sea lions, on the other hand, do not experience rut, so their food intake is about the same all year long. Yeah. This is a great question. For what reason can we rescue sea lions? There can be a multitude of different reasons. Sometimes it can be because of human interaction, where we see them entangled in fishing gear and all kinds of other things that you might find that humans have left behind. So it's extremely important that if you do go out fishing, you make sure everything you brought with you comes back home with you. Sometimes it can also be because of the chemicals that go down our storm drains. A lot of what we see here is called domoic acid poisoning. So that primarily affects pregnant female sea lions. They live closer to the shore, so they're more affected by those chemicals that go down our storm drains. When they ingest that, they get very, very sick, and most often it is fatal. So that's another thing that is very important that we make sure is disposed of properly. Paint, other chemicals like that needs to be disposed of properly. Sometimes these other animals just interact with people on the beaches because people come to visit San Diego and they hang out on the beach and they see this adorable little baby sea lion and they want to play with it, which is not the right thing to do. You want to give them their space, let them do their own thing. And so those animals start thinking that humans are their friends and want to hang out with them. So then they become essentially what's called a nuisance animal, and then they would have to be rescued as well. For example, one of our sea lions, his name is Jay. His full name is Jay Walker because he liked to walk across I-5. Yes. Not an appropriate place for a sea lion, and because he kept being found in those roadways, he was deemed non-releasable by the National Marine Fisheries, which is who decides if an animal is releasable or not. Not us. Great question. So, hold on, I saw another hand right over here. Yeah. How fast can he swim? That's a great question. These guys can swim pretty fast, but only for shorter periods of time. So they could go up to about 15 miles an hour, but again, for a short burst of time. They're not going to keep up that speed for any prolonged period of time. Yeah. Do we train them? Of course we train them. I hope you guys all can come back and see our show later in the day, and you'll see just how amazingly trained these animals are. Well, these are California sea lions. So they are one of many sea lion species. There's a number of them, but these guys are actually part of the pinniped family. So you're looking at a little bit bigger group. That includes the walruses and one other animal that lives here. Does anybody know what that is? Otter, good guess. Haven't heard it yet. Walrus, yeah. And seal, I heard it. So walruses, seals, and sea lions are all members of the pinniped family. Now moving on, this is Murdoch. Murdoch's a little bit older. He's 8 years old. He weighs about 450 pounds. And he was actually born at the SeaWorld in Orlando. He came to us when he was about 3 years old. So he's been part of the California family for a while now. He's also another very playful sea lion, likes to enjoy exploring new items. So we've got a plastic dish in there for him with some ice on it. So just because we do enrichment, that looks very physical, and it is, we also want to make sure that these guys are mentally enriched as well. So encouraging them to interact with strange objects and just explore their environment and figure out what this might be is always a great thing too. Trying to combine certain behaviors, sort of like you patting your tummy and rubbing your head at the same time, a little challenging to do. So it's the same thing for these guys. We want to always be encouraging them to think in different ways. That's a great question we had. How long can sea lions live? So they can live into their late 20s or even early 30s. The oldest sea lion that we have here is Duke. He's 22 years old, and he was born at the Sea Lion Point just behind you there. His mother was a sea lion named Daisy. All right, another great question over here. That's a great question. We have behind the stage, is there a pool? Yes, we have lots and lots of different pools here for our sea lions. One of the other important parts of our sea lions enrichment is socialization. So that is just them playing with other sea lions. As much as we enjoy playing with them and as much as they might enjoy playing with us, it's also important that they spend time with other sea lions. So we have a number of pools in the back area where they can hang out with other sea lions. They can also spend time alone. Sometimes that's enriching as well. Everybody likes a little quiet time, so do these guys. So we have the opportunity to change up their environment quite a bit. Great job, Murdoch. All right, oh boy, lots of questions. Now we come back. Are sea lions endangered? No, California sea lions are not completely endangered. Their numbers are doing just fine, and if you go along the coast here, you'll see them just about everywhere. That being said, they do still face some issues, so we do need to rescue those ones. Again, most likely due to human impact. So the best thing you guys can do is make sure all of your trash gets into the appropriate places, your recycling goes where it should go, and that you take everything you took to the beach back home with you again. Can sea lions talk? I don't know, Jordan? Let's see here. As soon as Murdoch drops that frisbee, we'll see if he can talk for you. Sea lions have a lot of different vocalizations. If you go to the beach, you're very likely to hear them. Now, if you see an animal at the beach and they're very quiet, you're probably looking at a seal. Seals are very quiet and it's very difficult to hear their noises. If you hear a seal, you are too close and you need to back up immediately. What do they eat? Does anybody remember that? Yeah? Several kinds of different fish, you got it? Squid, herring, mackerel, sardines, and capelin. All right, we're gonna All right, I think we might be moving on to our otters. We'll answer a few more questions while they get set up. Yes, okay, I think I understand what you're asking. Are these behaviors specifically trained for this inside look, or is this their natural behaviors? There's a little bit of both going on. So like I talked about earlier, just because we have a play session with these animals, which is what we're doing now, where they can exhibit natural behaviors, or some even behaviors that they've learned here but like to offer because we think that they might be more enjoyable for the animal. They still have to maintain a certain level of etiquette and manners. So again, just like you, when your kids are on the playground, they can swim, they can run, they can do all these fun activities that they like to do, but you still can't hit your neighbor or do things like that. So it's the same thing for these guys. They need to give us space, they need to give us respect, but then they can also play and run around and be a wild sea lion. So there is a little bit of both going on here. Manners are very, very important. They're one of the things we train for our sea lions, just to make sure they always give us space and that everybody is being safe when we're interacting with these animals, because at the end of the day, they are a wild animal. All right, great questions. Yeah, 2 more. Great question. How long does it take to train them a behavior? It's all different. Every sea lion is different, just like every person is different. Every behavior is different, just like everything you learn is different. You might learn to spell one word really fast, but another word, it takes you a little while to learn, right? Now, this is our otters. These are the other animals that live here, Asian small-clawed otters. Now, a lot of people guessed that they were related to the sea lion, but they're actually more closely related to the weasel. So these guys are extremely playful, extremely dexterous, and extremely destructive. So these are another one of the animals that I find great joy in finding enrichment devices for, because not much withstands an otter. All right, great question. Let's see. How big can the otters grow? That's a great question. They can get up to 10 pounds. Now, these are the smallest of the otter species, and 10 pounds would be a very, very large otter. Typically, they range somewhere between 6 and 8 pounds. The females tend to be a little bit larger than the males as well. So coming up to the stage there, examining what's in the water, is Giselle. She's not quite sure what to make of that. Not quite sure. Otters have an incredible sense of smell. So they would be able to smell what's in the water, what's in your hand, all of these different things that are on stage here. You'll see them rubbing around their tails. They have scent glands, so they're marking their territory, letting other otters know that they've been there. And so again, the smell is very, very important to otters. That's part of how we can enrich these guys with different scents. As well as different textures. So you can see them rubbing on towels. There's a carpet sample up there. We have what we call kelp strips, which is a very, very tough felt that they can rub on and get their scent on. How long can the otters live? That's a great question. Typically, otters live about 10 years or so. Here, they live quite a bit longer. The most recent otter to pass away here was 18 years old. He lived a very long, healthy life, and so 18 was a great age for him. He did a great job. And this is Kylene playing. She's one of our trainers. She likes to play a lot too. We have to have trainer enrichment as well as animal enrichment. It's very important. Yep. Great question again. So can they bite? Well, anything with a mouth can bite. So yes, they can definitely bite. Of course, we train them that that is not something that we want to see. Now, what happens if we have an animal that does something that we don't want to see? Does anybody have any guesses? Not rewarding it. Yes, you are exactly right. We're not going to reward it, and what we're going to do is nothing. We're just going to simply ignore that behavior for about 3 seconds and move on to the next thing. We just want to draw as little attention to that behavior that we were not looking for, and then when they do a behavior that we are looking for, we're going to draw a lot more attention to that behavior and encourage that behavior to continue. How do we come up with their names? That's a variety of different ways we can come up with their names. If you guys are friends with us on Facebook, you might see that we have some voting for different names on Facebook. Sometimes when the animals come to us from other facilities, they already are named. When they come to us from our rescue program, we try and name them something to do with maybe how they were rescued. So Jay, who I talked about earlier, Jay Walker for walking across the street when he wasn't supposed to. Another way that we can name them is to help us remember lineage. So I talked about one of our older sea lions, Duke, and his mother, Daisy Duke. So that sort of helps as well. All right, guys, thank you so much for coming to our Inside Look. Again, if you have any questions, I'll be hanging out down here to answer those for you. I hope you enjoyed seeing our sea lions and our otters up close.